Thank you, Susan, and welcome to the FDA Board of Directors Annual Public Meeting. So we are pleased to have Dr. Robert Califf. This opportunity to speak with you, who was confirmed for the 25th FDA Commissioner. Wow. In February, becoming the first person since the 1940s to return to the agency for a stint as a commissioner. That's quite something, 40 years, but we all know that you are a cardiologist, a clinical trial specialist. Dr. Califf previously served under the Obama administration. Well, welcome back, Rob. I mean, really quite a major commitment, and we're really pleased to have you. And thank you for all that you have done and will be doing. So let's start with tobacco. I mean, tobacco product oversight is a critical issue to the work against all diseases, not just cancer, all diseases. Tell us about what the Center for Tobacco Products and how the agency fits into your vision for agency's work in this space. This is an important health area, and I know you feel very strongly about that, and we're going to be very active.
Sure. Thanks, Ellen. It's good to be with everybody today. And it is true, a lot of people ask me if I was crazy to come back, and I guess I am, but so far, I'm having a very interesting and good time with a lot of work to do. And tobacco is certainly one of the major priorities that we have. You know, I'm a cardiologist. As Ellen knows, I spent many years in the intensive care units of Duke Hospital, where I saw so many people die and have bad outcomes from tobacco, strokes, cancer, renal failure, you name it. And now we have a chance to do something, but it's still the case that almost 500,000 people will die from tobacco-related illness this year in the United States. And I was really pretty thrilled that, Scott Gottlieb came after me and pushed forward some of the things that we have been working on. And we got a couple of them across the finish line just 2 weeks ago, or at least I would say the 10-yard line, because there's still work to be done. But we have a product standard now for menthol and tobacco, and also for cigars, which could have a major impact on the number of people who continue to use tobacco products. Now, the standard is out from OMB. It's got to go through all the formalities of comments from the public, and we have to respond to those, which will take some time. But this is a major step forward. And so, the good news is we are seeing a decline in smoking among adults and teenagers, but we got almost 2 million, or a little over 2 million teenagers using vaping products now, and we've got to really continue to work on this.
Well, thank you. You are an activist leader, and there's no question with you at the helm, we're going to do something. We need to really intervene and do something. And I have no question that you will and your team will get that done. A big issue for you, and I know you're really passionate about this, is health misinformation. And what we saw during COVID SARS-19, what we see and hear every day. And I know this is something that you want to work on, and we're hoping that the Reagan-Udall Foundation can be helpful to you. But can you tell us a little bit about what you want to do? Because I know this is something that you care about deeply and really want to get a handle on. It is a daunting task.
Well, I feel like we all knew this was coming for quite a while now, as the internet has gained speed, and almost everyone has access either through a home high-speed technology or just a plain old cell phone, which almost everyone has. And, of course, the vaccine situation and the pandemic has called attention to the problem, but it's not just about vaccination where we have major issues to address. It's about all health-related issues where 24/7, there's a steady stream of misinformation, which is leading people to make bad decisions about their health. And, as of this year, we now in the United States have a 5-year shorter life expectancy compared to other high-income countries. About 2 years of that is due to the fact we haven't done so well with COVID compared to other countries, but the other 3 are due to common chronic diseases that we know a lot about how to prevent and treat. And so the current state, as I see it, is that we have a very large number of experts who can tell you about misinformation, where it comes from, who promulgates it, how it gets transmitted and amplified, and the consequences of it. I haven't found a single person that has a plausible strategy to win the battle on misinformation. And so we're really going to have to work on it. And while we're, fighting the battle one step at a time, I hope we'll develop a comprehensive strategy over the next year together with partners across HHS. Of course, misinformation covers a lot of other territory besides health, but just focusing on health, I think there's a lot we can do, but we got to really come up with a comprehensive strategy. And I hope Reagan-Udall can help with that.
Well, we would be delighted to work with you on it. It used to be that we received our information from our healthcare providers, our doctors, nurses, people. Now it seems that their voices, even if they're trying, are being drowned out, and people are getting it from just odd and really dangerous sources. So it's an area that we care deeply about, and hopefully we can help to do something about it. We see it every day. It is really scary and important. And thanks for taking it on. And I know you will figure out how to do something on it. So now let's switch to real world evidence. This is something that you are an expert in, that you know so much about. You've devoted your entire career to evidence generation. And we are just wondering about what you can do, how we can be helpful, what your ideas are, and how to get that information from real world patients and people that are not necessarily included in clinical trials, and what we can do to make that information accurate and reliable.
Well, this has been quite a journey for me, because it really started for me. I was, as I like to say, just a country doctor, started working in the coronary care unit at Duke University. And when I started, we actually didn't know what caused heart attacks. And then some adventuresome cardiologists did acute angiograms, and there it was, blood clot in the coronary arteries. And the race was on to find treatments for the leading cause of death. And for some reason in that field, we were very rapidly in the 1980s often doing 10 to 40,000 patient clinical trials all around the world. And it really would meet all the criteria for real world evidence. Today, basically, it was a fax machine. The internet didn't exist for practical purposes. So we used the fax machine to collect very small amounts of data about life and death and baseline characteristics of thousands of people, and to use randomization as the method to make a causal inference. And it's almost like people just completely have forgotten about that. And now we spend amazing amounts of money per patient on very complicated data collection and using very old-fashioned methods that most industries have given up a long time ago in favor of more advanced technology. And so I really hope, while the theory of evidence generation has gotten better and better, the practice, I think, has gone backwards in a lot of ways. And I really hope now we can gather our wits about us, figure out a strategy to put all the theory to use. And remember that, one of the great lessons just happened during the pandemic. While the US was mostly doing very complicated, small clinical trials, as Janet Woodcock pointed out, they couldn't answer the critical questions. The UK said, as a national system, we're going to answer the questions. We're going to simplify it, make it part of standard practice to get the evidence. And they have reeled off answer after answer in a most impressive way. So we need to learn from that. But at the basis of all this is my deep belief that if you're going to practice medicine, or you're going to make a decision about your own health, you're so much better off if we know what works based on high quality evidence than if we're just guessing or going by someone's opinion. All these opinions and shabby evidence is what has brought us things like ivermectin and widespread clinical use. And we have just got to do better. I am sure that Reagan-Udall can help with this, and we just need to work together on how to get the plan together common to misinformation is that FDA can't do this by itself. It's going to need to rally the ecosystem, the academic health systems, the general health systems, universities, and other federal agencies in this effort.
So we're ready to help. We're ready to convene. We understand the need. Having the extraordinary expertise that you have to bring this to bear is going to be really important. And I know for a long time, all of us in the cancer community, but Jan, the FDA, has always talked about trials need to be in a community where real people live. We need to make them accessible. We need to understand. We've worked really hard on exclusions for these trials, so we have real world patients in them. So I have no doubt during your tenure here, you're going to handle this. It's daunting, but you know how this needs to be done, and we're really happy to work with you on it. Now let's switch a little bit to food. What are we going to do about food? That's a huge area of unmet need in an area that has recently come under some criticism for the agency, and be helpful to know what you're thinking about there and what your actions are going to be.
It's fair to say that in 2015, when I first came to FDA, I was definitely not an expert on food. I'm still not an expert on food, but I learned a lot. And coming back, I can say with, I think, complete confidence that the food part of the FDA has not gotten the attention that it should have gotten, nor the budget that it should have gotten compared to the medical products area. And so we are developing a plan to really strengthen our effort in food. But let me first note, I did a lot of diligence over the last month, and all the data we have says our food is safe. It's as safe as it's ever been. And we're much, much better at detecting problems in the food in the form of outbreaks or even specific issues. For example, the ability to genotype bacteria and to transmit that information in the sort of big data format makes an enormous difference in our ability to detect these things. We also know a lot more about nutrition than we've ever known. And so now what we have to do is put all this together, convince Congress that more money will be needed, which is, publicly being discussed in the budget hearings currently occurring, and get the structure and organization to match the money. And I'm very optimistic that we're going to end up with really super capabilities using technology with regard to food, but also the follow through with regard to nutrition and informing the American public. This does begin to meld, you can see, with both evidence generation and with misinformation, because it's not like we're totally ignorant about what a better diet is than what we're currently eating. But, we have this explosion of diabetes and obesity in this country that we need to take on. And I want to emphasize again, if you just think about the magnitude of the issue, the sophistication of farming, of agriculture in general, modification of genetics in the agricultural arena, growing food from cultures. The science is every bit as breathtaking as it is for medical products. We need an FDA which is equipped to handle this, and we have great people. We just need more people who are adequately paid with the capabilities of hiring, like what you were so instrumental, Ellen, in getting through in 21st century cures. Janet Woodcock, as you know, has decided to stay on at the FDA, and she's going to be very focused on this arena. I think everyone would agree that she did a super job on the medical product side, and the budget that increases that were obtained have had a big impact. And I think we can expect the same from food.
Well, you have a lot of enormous responsibilities, but I know with your focus that you're going to be driven to get something done. And that's what's really important. To get something done, you need a budget, you need people, you need to be able to attract people and keep them there to stay. I'm sure you're going to do that, but you certainly need the resources. And I think we're all committed to helping you achieve this mission. Talk about, because I know one of the things that you're doing really well is collaborating with other agencies. We're not being siloed off. You're working closely with NIH and CMS. And can you spend a moment about how important that is to be able to get out of our silos and to really understand other needs of other agencies and how we could collaborate and perhaps work more efficiently?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Ellen. And I was taken a few years back with the concept of sub-optimization, which is a business term that refers to a situation where each component of the business is rewarded for optimizing its own conditions without regard for the impact on the system as a whole. And often you'll end up with a situation where each component looks better, but the overall functioning of the business actually goes downhill. I would argue that's what we have today in the US. How can it be that every health system in the US is claiming better and better outcomes, and yet our national statistics are headed the wrong direction fairly rapidly at this point? Well, one component of this, of course, is the HHS agencies. And I was really impressed in 2016 with the power that occurred when the agencies worked together. And while we each have a job to do, it's the interfaces where often the most important activity is. And I've sort of likened this to a relay race where if one agency runs a lap and then just drops a baton, and the other agency's got to pick it up, figure out where it is and pick it up and start over, that's so much less efficient than if there's a sort of side-by-side partial lap that goes on so the second agency can keep going at a faster speed. And that's definitely an issue with FDA and CMS. I think we all know that. So I'm really looking forward to working with colleagues at CMS. It's always been that in the research arena, the majority of clinical research, as you know, is funded by industry, but NIH has a very big clinical research budget. Anything we can do to optimize efficiency between the two, I think will accrue to the benefit of the public health. And then everyone is aware in the pandemic of the importance of FDA and CDC working together. And I really think we need, we're all used to looking at COVID tracker now, whether we look at New York Times or Johns Hopkins or website or the CDC website itself. We really just need a COVID tracker for all diseases. Having worked at Alphabet, I'm 100% sure this is not a technological issue at all. And it's another part in the evidence generation component I hope we'll work together on with Reagan-Udall. We need to help Americans understand that sharing data, if it's under the right circumstances, can really help people. If you had a disease suddenly, you would hope that other people with a disease that you had already shared their data so that your doctors and nurses would know what to do. And so I'm very excited about working with the other federal agencies. It's not always easy because every one of the agencies have more work to do than they can do. And there's a constant spotlight on it. But I think I'm very hopeful we're going to get a lot done.
Well, I have no doubt that you're going to get a lot done. And we are here at Reagan-Udall Foundation to help facilitate that and to work with others. You have a daunting responsibilities, but I know you and I've known you for a long time. And I know you came here to be serious and to get the job done. And we're incredibly thankful and proud of you and look forward to working with you. And we're here to serve. This is what the foundation is for. And you're the right leader to get us through these really daunting issues. Thank you so much for your time and effort.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to working with you.